Time to roll the dice, you know I'm the type.
Hi, I'm Obi, and today I wanted to tell you about an anime that hasn't received a lot of attention. It's Akudama Drive, and I have seen almost no one talking about it, which is a shame. We're gonna go over the first 3 episodes together, and if you're interested, I'm gonna recommend it at the end, so. And I'll also do my makeup while I'm talking about it because it's fun. And because I have nothing better to do while talking about it. One thing to consider about this anime is that it is cyberpunk. Cyberpunk is a genre that I generally do not care for. The reason why cyberpunk usually doesn't work is that it is horribly, terribly, unexcusably sexist. There are almost no examples of shows or films or anything that circumvent this in a way that's redeemable. The only one I can think of is the second Blade Runner movie. That's it. That's all. But I continually want there to be more, and I will continue to search for more, and what I hope to get from this anime, Akudama Drive, is another example of cyberpunk that works. Quick disclaimer about the show, it is rated R for violence and profanity. Mainly the violence. This is made by Studio Pierrot, or something to that pronunciation, vaguely. They are a studio that made a lot of stuff back in the 80s, and assumedly the 90s too. I didn't really look that closely. But a lot of long form stuff, a lot of super series, and I noticed that they've been making a couple more short form experimental shows lately, so that's pretty exciting because it'd be cool to see what a long-term, traditional anime company can do, To start the show, first let's talk about aesthetic. This show is beautiful, and it nails cyberpunk so well. And I love it so much from the opening scene. I was like, this had better not be sexist, because I really want it to be so good. And so far, I've been swayed into loving it. One thing about the aesthetic that I also liked is that it's, a lot of what we see are technologies of convenience and technologies of a society that's functional. At one point, our main character, she's saving a cat from a car, and she jumps into the road and runs across.
Oh, Neko-san.
She passes through a point, which the car then hits, and it's like a light barrier, but it accounted for the fact that she was organic material, and so was the cat, but not the car. And this barrier is just light, as far as we can tell. And it's set up in such a way that it accounts for even jaywalkers. So that's really interesting. Yeah, this is just a really detail-oriented world, and I love that. The first character we meet is the main character, Ordinary Girl. She runs into Courier, who drops some money, and Courier's an asshole, of course, and he tells her that it's bad luck, just keep it, I don't want to deal with it. And so she decides to believe him that it's bad luck, because she's just an innocent little sweetheart, and she doesn't spend it. That gets her into trouble. So Courier's a pretty straightforward dude. He's got a lot of edge in him, but not a lot of angst. One of the things about Courier that's just absurd is his bike. Like, what kind of bullshit? Even though what it's doing is ridiculous on every level, it looks cool while it's doing it. And I would kind of hate him for being such a lackluster character, but it's almost comical how like apathetic he is, so kind of love that. The next character we meet is Brawler.
楽しめそうだな。
Brawler is our character of color and a complete tank and a sports jock bro. He's such a good bean. I love him. He definitely gives me very Iskandar Thorkel vibes. Iskandar from Fate Zero, Thorkel from Vinland Saga. Definitely more Thorkel than Iskandar, but he's just so pure. I mean, he's a murderer, and he's violent and ridiculous and low-key kind of insane, but there's a purity in that, if you know what I mean. And the weird thing is that he's such an anime character that even though he's so ridiculous and out there and kind of a lot, it doesn't feel like it's disrespectful to the representation that he offers, because he is an anime character at the core. And part of the problem that representation has issues is because they go too far. And that's where you start to add in stereotypes. Whereas if this guy is literally just an anime character who happens to be a person of color, which is, I mean, kind of what you want. Low-key sprinkle a little bit of, you know, relevance to whatever, but you know, hey, we're halfway there. I don't have the right to decide if that's good representation or not, but to my understanding, it's really great. Brawler is asked to save Cutthroat from execution. That's the guy who Courier is delivering something to. Our next two characters are also asked to do this. Hacker and Doctor. Hacker in his opening scene is hacking into a bank, and he does it with minimal effort, barely anything at all. So we know that he is by far one of the most skilled in the group, and probably in this city. Given the fact that it's so technologically advanced, being able to hack into something is basically like being able to play God, which they don't really touch on a lot. They do a little bit, and we kind of see it in his character because he's constantly bored. Because once you can do anything, what is there to do? The way that the request to save Cutthroat is phrased is that it's a game for him. So he's an interesting character. So then we meet the Doctor. The Doctor is a wild character. She is definitely our sexualized character for this cyberpunk story. So all of these Akudama, the Akudama being, I'm guessing, just a word for criminal, all the Akudama meet on the way to go rescue Cutthroat, and somehow Ordinary Girl ends up right in the middle of it, trying to save a cat. Again.
もうダメですよ。今ここは悪玉に襲われて超危険地帯になってるんだから。あ。え？
They all turn on her, and she's moments away from death whenever she has the brilliant idea to paint the picture that she is one of them. And they eat it right up, and from that moment she is Swindler. Now, one can argue that this is a ruse, and that she is simply taking on this persona in order to save herself, but by doing so she has effectively swindled some of the most dangerous and least trusting people in the city, and therefore is effectively the best swindler, regardless of what her past career was, whatever it was. Oh yeah, there's another character that we get introduced to along the way to Cutthroat, and that's Hoodlum. Hoodlum is just some low-level criminal who got caught up in all this somehow. He ends up becoming like best bros with Brawler, and their interactions are some of the most fun comedy that this show has to offer. And so they get to Cutthroat's execution, and what we see is in this cyberpunk setting with all of these neon lights and beautiful cityscapes and the buildings and the colors, and it's just so vivid and rich and dirty and grimy, and I love it. in this scene, there's a guillotine. And that was the most random thing. I was just in love instantly. I love this scene. I love this moment. So we meet Cutthroat, and at first, they are introduced as just that, a they. And I immediately caught on to that and was like, an agender non-binary person? Yes, please, thank you. I would love some representation with my cake, please. But very soon we find out that they's a he, and I mean, I guess as far as representation, an absolutely insane person is not the best.
捕まえたならちゃんと殺してほしかったな。
One thing that I enjoy about the naming convention, specifically for Cutthroat, but for all of them, is how fun it is, for one. And then for two, how it's very direct and blatant, like in its descriptions of each character, but there is room for interpretation. Because you could say that Cutthroat's name is Cutthroat because he's a mass murderer, but you could also say that it's because he was about to be guillotined. We don't know which one it is. Second episode, we meet Black Cat.
全員揃ったようだね。
I love Black Cat. I would die for Black Cat. They're an android, and they're also the benefactor of this mission. So whenever they manage to rescue Cutthroat, they introduce the next mission.
目的は何だ。
新幹線の襲撃だ。
The Shinkansen is the Northern Lights train that runs through the city. It's also kind of a deity in this city, because they don't have a religion exactly, but they do have these things, and they have the Shinkansen that they worship whenever it passes through the city. They turn to it and kind of offer their prayers, and then they have Kantou, which is a region, it's a physical place, but they also view it as a utopia and a paradise. And so their mission, stated out, is a heist. And so we're gonna do a heist, guys. I love it. We also see the opening after this. The opening is fine. I really like the art, but the song is annoying. So the more that Black Cat talks about this heist, the more absurd it sounds. The more it sounds like it's about to get wild and up in here. They also mention briefly, but at length, considering that we aren't sure what part it has to play yet, this factory, the Kyushu plant. That's a factory in the Kansai region, which is our location, the poor region, that makes products for the Kantou region, which is the wealthy region, the utopia. And the purpose of the Shinkansen, which is the train, is to carry goods from the Kyushu plant in the Kansai region to the Kantou region. So they're going to get onto the Shinkansen and steal something, acquire a good that was made in the Kyushu factory. So they start the mission and the executioners show up. So the executioners are the force in the society that goes beyond your average police force. Their one purpose is to eliminate the Akudama, which are like the elite criminals. So in episode 3, I really started to wonder what exactly they were gonna do about this whole train situation. It's just so weird that if you look at it from their standpoint, they should have never taken this mission, because Black Cat says that they're going to attack the train in order to get the goods that came from the factory. But we also know that there are easier ways to get goods from the factory. Specifically, Courier's bike and several of the tools that Black Cat gives them to use on this mission came from the factory. So we know that they could have handled this in a much easier way by just attacking the factory. We also know that they're not attached. So the goods have to be transported from the factory to the train station in order to get onto the train to go to the Kantou region, right? So that's also a very weak link in which they could be attacked, and the goods can be gotten easier. At one point, while they're on the train, while they're on the heist mission, Hacker mentions that he wants to go to the Kantou region. And of course, red flags, mainly because, again, this is the smartest character. This is the most capable character. And if he wants to go to the Kantou region, the only way to get there is on this train. Why do we think he's not going to sabotage this mission in order to get where he wants to go? Man, I would have stabbed him right then and there. I mean, these are all murderers, right? So that's totally an option. And I mean, if he wants entertainment, what's more entertaining than the look of betrayal on your team's face? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. He can definitely hack those damn necklaces. Oh yeah, they're wearing necklace bombs, by the way. Totally forgot to mention that. There's a lot of stuff. You're gonna have to watch it to get all details. So while they're on the heist mission, they run into an unforeseen issue that they handle in very different ways. They're split up into groups, and they handle a situation where they can't access something. Cutthroat handles it in a very precise and direct method. Brawler just breaks his way through it with chaos and strength. These are to be expected actions. And after that, they get up to the train with minimal issue.
新幹線の発進は予定外だけど、第一関門は突破できたね。さて、これからが本番だ。
Oh, does it, Black Cat? Oh, does it? Is this where the mission starts? Thank you, Black Cat, for telling us this. It's not like it's been challenging up to now. It's not like they risked their lives multiple times over for this mission that you have not told them what the end goal is. Now it gets hard, huh? I love Black Cat. So, before we leave, because that's the end of the third episode, so what we know about this world is that the Kantou region is where the wealthy live, and the Kansai region is where the poor live. And this basically sets up a story that is about socioeconomic class and the hopelessness of the lower class. And I love stories like that. Give me class warfare, give me rebellion, give me cutting down the rich, give me guillotining the rich, okay? That is what I want out of a story, damn it. Give me that fulfillment that we can't have in this here age, please. But there's more to it. And those annoying cartoons that talk about the history, we learned that there used to be 3 distinct regions. Basically the lower, middle, and upper class is how it was divided. But the Kantou region nuked the middle class. They literally dropped a nuke on the middle class. So now they're gone. So now it's just the lower and upper class, which, I mean, if you want to talk about reflective of real life, what's interesting is seeing the train station, because there's turnstiles and there's seating and there's literally parts of the train that has seating meant for people. Like, there used to be economic mobility and a social structure that one could climb and grow and become more and this and that, but it's all gone now. The train is not designed to admit passengers because there is no intention to permit the poor to leave their place. And that's really an interesting visual, because they don't tell you that. You're not told that that's what's happening. But you can see it. And not only did they manage to cut off the poor region entirely and destroy anyone who might stand in their way from basically making these people into indentured servants by not allowing them class mobility, they also got them to worship them, which is... They basically worship Kantou as a utopia and a paradise, and the Shinkansen as a symbol of that higher place. And it's like, that's literally the symbols of your oppression. Like, you're not going to that paradise, and you're certainly not taking that route to get there. And it's just, boy, were they thorough. And it's such an interesting world in that way. So there's also something even weirder about the Kantou region, and it's kind of spoilery, but not really, because it's not even understood at the point where I am in the show, and that's that the Kantou region comes up more and more as a perturbing place, not just an oppressive ideal. The question becomes not what is it like, but what is it? What is Kantou? Is the question you start to ask, and it's just delightful. I love a good intriguing situation, and if we don't find out, I'm gonna burn the whole show down. I'm intrigued by this show, and I actually really enjoy it. I really enjoy it a lot, and I really recommend it for you guys too. Please watch it so that we can yell about it together, because I have a feeling that the end of the show will be something that we're all yelling about regardless of how it goes. It'll either be yelling because it's good, or yelling because it's bad, or yelling because what? Oh, before I forget, I got a new hoodie. This is Al Squire's new merch, limited edition, cool sleeve. I recommend you check out his videos. He's on Twitch and on YouTube, and we're both from the same town, so I would like to support a fellow small creator. That's all. I'm Obi. Have fun. Enjoy the show. Please, please, please enjoy the show. I'm gonna look like Neapolitan ice cream today. It's about the blending. I think it's about the blending. Their weapons are basically lightsabers, which is pretty lit. We learned that there used to be 3 distinct sections of the, we learned that, another aesthetic note, I happen to love some of these scene transitions. Oh my good god. Talk about aesthetic. One weird thing about this show is that none of these characters are particularly, like, that attractive. Like, they're pretty in, like, certain light, but, like, I could see people, like, swooning over, like, moments with them, and with the Kakashi character that looks like the Naruto dude. But maybe it's my asexuality really, maybe I'm really coming into it after all this time, but, like, they're just people, and I really like that. I mean, they're all murderers, but I enjoy that they're not all simpable characters that, you know, we're all, I guess just me, maybe I'm the only one who's not drooling over all of them. Maybe everybody else is, I don't know, tell me if you are, I guess. Tell me who you think is the sexiest character. Let's see. I mean, Brawler's my favorite. I don't think he's sexy. Is Brawler? Yeah, Brawler's definitely my favorite.